tongue. There's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all, and if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all, with your wings entwining. You better face the fall. Zero, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure.
Hello and welcome back to the Great Lakes Cup Series. Here we are in week number 2. Here we are at the Charlotte Roval for the, it's not Charlotte, it's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval. And here I am in the booth with Alex. Alex, how we doing tonight?
We're doing all right, Kyle. We're at a really difficult road course here tonight. Very, very technical and a lot of bumps, curbs, and walls. It's going to be a survival race tonight, I believe, and I'm excited for it.
Well, if you've been living under a rock for the last 4 years, this is the Charlotte Roval. It got introduced to NASCAR in 2018. It's a 17-turn over 2-mile road course called the Roval because the road course and the oval. So it should be a lot of fun. Starting on the pole is Nathan Nicholson here tonight. We have around a 15-car field. What were you looking forward to tonight, Alex?
Well, coming from our qualifying lineup right now, it's kind of looking like a two-horse race between Nathan Nicholson and Jacob Branski starting on the front row, almost a second ahead of the rest of the field. We'll have to see if anybody else finds some pace to run with those two guys, but it looks like that's going to be for the win between them.
Should be a blast, as it will be 55 laps around the Charlotte Roval here in the Great Lakes Cup Series, race number 2 of the season. Season number 3, still early on. A lot of stuff could happen. But we're going to start up with this starting lineup as they're about to pull off and start the one pace lap here at the Charlotte Roval. On row number 1, we're going to have Nathan Nicholson, as was mentioned. Then on the high side, in that very colorful number 23, is going to be Jacob Branski.
In that second row, we got Zachary Henry and Ashton Lawson with that Sun Energy Chase Elliott scheme.
Row number 3 on the inside, or the left side, because we are at a road course. On the left side will be Jacob Manning, and then on the right side will be Christopher Heller.
Right behind them, you got the 20 of Phil Bedford, and Elliot Henderson will start from the 8th position.
Row number 5 on the left side, we have Austin Moore, and then on the right, in the number 71, we have Ty Aiken.
Right behind them, we got the 51 of Trent Curtis running a Good Sam scheme, and William Bargelata running his classic Interstate Green scheme.
In the next row number 7, you got Scott Stewart in the 26. Then in the number 63, you got Eric Kepf, a.k.a. Mr. Pink.
Right behind them should be, I believe, the 42 of Nick Martin and the 13 of Josh Cottle, but I don't believe I see them on track as of right now.
Then rounding out your field would be Spencer Dickinson. Still got around a half lap until we go green flag racing here at the Charlotte Roval. I don't expect really any cautions here today. There's no competition caution. To my knowledge, there is no competition caution. So I don't expect any cautions really, unless we get a big wreck here on this first lap or within the first couple of laps while everybody will be bunched up. I'm interested to see how this restart is going to go. You see Ashton Lawson there on the outside of row 2. I know Ashton Lawson's a very talented road course racer, and I feel like he should feel like that he should have been on the front row. So I'm interested to see what he does here on the start of the race. Maybe try to make a move on Branski and Nicholson and try to get up there and battle it up for the lead off the get-go.
Yeah, the one unique problem with this track on iRacing is that they don't take the oval start for the initial start like they do in real life. They actually go through the chicane for the initial start, which typically makes it really hard for anybody a row behind the leaders to really gain any positions, as those guys have quite the jump coming to the line. But at the same time, because they're going through a corner at the initial start, you'll see a lot of guys either make a mistake right at the start of the race or open the door for somebody to dive inside of turn 1. So I'll be looking out for some of that in the middle of the field.
I see you in chat, Aaron. To answer your question, yes, all the tracks from the Cup, Xfinity, and truck schedules are here on iRacing. The pace car is pulling off, and we're going to go green flag racing here at the Charlotte Roval. And a great start from the 47 of Nathan Nicholson, and Branski's right behind him. And everybody comes charging through those last turns and takes the green flag here at the Charlotte Roval for the It's Not Charlotte, It's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval.
Ashton Lawson immediately will jump up to the 3rd position. He had a great start by them after watching Nathan Nicholson do a big jump over the field once the pace car left. That'll put Zachary Henry back to the 4th position and Christopher Heller back to 5th. There's a bit of racing down for the 13th position, I believe, between Bargelata and Ty Aiken. Ty Aiken will take that position going through the infield corners.
Yeah, Ty Aiken will take the spot away from the number 27 of William Bargelata. And here you are looking at your race leader of Nathan Nicholson. Jacob Branski's right there, not too far behind him. Not letting him get too far out of his sight for now here on lap number 1 of 55 laps. A very long race here at Charlotte. A lot of turns, a lot of places where you can make a mistake. So I think the best strategy here is just to try to keep your car as clean as possible and try to keep your car out of trouble.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but Ashton Lawson spun out through the bus stop. Speaking of mistakes, third place runner Ashton Lawson spun around, exiting the bus stop, and now he's all the way at the back of the field.
That's what I'm saying. You need to take it easy, especially at the beginning part of this race, and make sure you minimize those mistakes, because whoever minimizes those mistakes out of the quicker drivers in this field is probably going to come out on top. But you just saw a mistake from Ashton Lawson in the number 24 on lap number 1. I think we're going to get a replay here for you as he's coming around the backstretch chicane, and he just loses it, just straight up loses it. Might have hit the gas a little too quick in the number 24 machine, but good job by gathering it up and getting it back together, and he's now behind Scott Stewart in the 26.
Yeah, luckily, he doesn't totally lose track of the field. He gets it going quick enough in time to catch the field, but already the top two have pulled out a massive gap over the field, over 3 seconds. It really is a two-horse race right here. They've got to watch out for any mistakes, though, because the pressure that Jacob Branski's putting on, typically our road course ace, Nathan Nicholson, is really going to be something we'll have to watch him deal with, because normally he's not used to somebody being this close to him in a road course.
Yeah, Nicholson, the road course ace. You mentioned it. He's leading the field, but Branski is not letting him out of his sight at all. He's still right there. He's stayed within a couple of car lengths ever since the drop of the green flag. Here we are starting lap number 3. These drivers are already almost 5 seconds in front of third place Zachary Henry at this point. Almost 5 seconds in just 3 laps. That really says a lot about these two drivers and their road course abilities.
Yeah, and a couple drivers that are also minimizing some mistakes here is Austin Moore and Trent Curtis, both gaining 3 positions since the initial start. They're doing a solid job, especially since Trent Curtis in the 51, he really didn't get any practice coming in. He joined pretty late to the session and barely got any practice coming in, as we're looking at Austin Moore going through these really tight sweeping corners. Back to Trent Curtis. These corners are tough. There's some side-by-side racing behind them. They're wrecking each other. Oh my God, they're wrecking in the back. William Barbagelata spun around.
Yeah, William Barbagelata in the number 27, aka Mr. Excitement, has gotten spun around coming through the infield portion of the racetrack. He's going to gather it up, but he does have some left front damage and a lot of bumper damage to that number 27 Interstate Batteries Toyota.
Yeah, right at the moment, the front of the field's calm, but the back of the field's racing really hard. You tend to notice that around this track. The guys further back who don't really have this track down pat and perfect usually struggle at different corners, and so you'll see guys be a lot faster than each other, just kind of randomly throughout the track, depending on what corners they're better at. So that's where we're seeing a lot of this racing is at the back.
We got a replay, it looks like, here for you of William Barbagelata's incident here coming through the infield portion. Gets up into Ty Aiken. It looks like Aiken got a little loose, and Barbagelata got up into his door and spun himself around in the number 27. But like I said, good job by gathering it up. But definitely a good amount of damage to that number 27 of William Barbagelata, aka Mr. Excitement.
Yeah, it just kind of, that's a little thing. That corner is really tough to get around. It's really tight. You're going up the hill. You don't have the front bite coming through there. Oh, there's another spin on the racetrack. Oh, God, I think that's Jacob Manning spun around going almost into that exact corner. Him and Scott Stewart got into it a little bit, and now they're spun around.
Jacob Manning in the number 1 Kurt Busch stylized Monster Energy Chevrolet, spinning it around the same place that William Barbagelata had spun around after some contact, possibly with Scott Stewart in the number 26. You see Lawson was around the area as well. You see here, we're going to look at the replay here. And you see the number 1 on the outside. He just loses it. Just loses it, and great job by Stewart to get around. It looked like he got a little bit into the wall, but great job by not getting into the number 1.
Let's actually talk about that corner a little bit. That corner, it seems a little misleading as a spectator. You don't really expect somewhere to just get really loose, but the weird angle that you're coming in at that corner, you're turning constantly, going up a hill, you're hitting a pretty hard braking zone going into that corner. Often the race car gets really loose going into that corner, and you saw Jacob Manning suffer from that exact issue. You really have to be very careful under brakes, maybe even brake while touching the throttle a little bit just to keep the rear end stable, and right in that moment you saw he wasn't able to keep it stable and lost it.
We're watching some of our drivers right here. You have Phil Bedford back here, Austin Moore, and Elliot Henderson. An unusual look for Elliot Henderson. I'm usually expecting a lot of green with his cars, some white and black for the number 37 here tonight. And he's trying to get to Austin Moore in the number 91. His teammate, Austin Moore, he's been driving him down the last couple of laps.
Elliot Henderson running some pretty solid lap times comparable to third, fourth, that kind of area. So he's running down the two guys in front of him right now. He's going to have to try and look for a passing position. That's another problem with this track. Passing opportunities are slim to none around here. I could probably list the amount of passing zones on half of a hand. There's that many. Probably backstretch going into the bus stop, maybe going into that uphill corner if you get a great enough run through these two corners right here. And maybe if you're really risky enough, you could do it in the final chicane. But other than that, there really aren't any good passing zones around this racetrack. It makes it really a track position style track. Is Phil Bedford's going to let Austin Moore by, it looked like. I'm not really sure what that was, but he just gave up two positions to both Austin Moore and Elliot Henderson. Well, we're wondering where Kyle is for the moment, but we're looking for somebody who's really turned the wick up. We got Nathan Nicholson pulling out a gap now in second place. Turned from a 2-horse race to a 1-horse race. Nathan Nicholson now 1 full second ahead of Jacob Branski. This race is going to get tough for these two guys. I mean, the road course ace is flexing his muscles right now, and it's definitely showing. Jacob Branski ran a really slow lap time that last time by. Almost fell off almost a half second from his previous lap. That's not ideal.
Yeah, Branski falling off a little bit that lap. Yeah, my Discord was acting a little funky there for a moment. But Branski falling back a little bit that last lap. That's the most I've seen him fall back since the beginning of this race. That being Branski. I think that's the first time he even went over a 122. So wondering if maybe he had made a mistake somewhere on that last lap. But it's just all about minimizing your mistakes here today. Just try and do the best you can. And I'm thinking that from what I heard, the fuel window was around 26 laps. So that should make it pretty interesting when it comes to possible fuel strategy or varying strategies in general.
That fuel number is very important, Kyle, because if you're looking at how long this race is, it's 55 laps. Just do a little bit of math for a second there. If you pit lap 26, the latest you can pit without running out of fuel, you're still going to be short by 3 laps. So these guys are going to have to do 2 pit stops. Phil Bedford spins around coming out of the bus stop. Oh no, another driver making a crucial error. He's going to tow it to the pit lane. That's going to pretty much end his race.
Yeah, Bedford spins it around. Another driver that has just spun it around. A lot of mistakes you've seen out here tonight already. Still very early on. Not even 10 laps into this race, and we already have a couple of drivers retired out of the race. We have Ty Aiken that's out of the race. Nick Martin has very severe damages on pit road. He's probably done for the day. Now Phil Bedford, he's done for the day. We're only down to around 10 drivers now left in this field. Looking at the onboard camera of your race leader and that very patriotic number 47 of Nathan Nicholson.
That is a very clean looking scheme from Nathan Nicholson. I'm a big fan of that. I love my patriotic schemes, and that's just a fantastic looking one right there. If nothing says America like red, white, and blue and a lot of stars, that's a great scheme, Nathan.
America. That's what that scheme tells me. America. Nathan Nicholson, your race leader. He's led ever since the drop of the green flag. Around 2.5 seconds back is Jacob Branski. Then around 10 seconds back of your race leader is Zachary Henry. That says so much. Zachary Henry's doing a good job. He's putting down good laps, I'd say. But Nathan Nicholson's already 10 seconds up on him. Only on lap number 9. That is insane. That is just insane.
Yeah, as of right now, Zachary Henry's about a second off of the leader's pace, which, as we saw in qualifying, that seems to be the gap between those two and the rest of the field right now. But surprisingly, a battle that I'm surprised is not closer than this is between him and Christopher Heller right behind him. They're running very, very similar lap times, and while the gap is about 2 seconds between them, I feel like that gap is going to close up pretty soon.
Well, I could definitely see it. Last time we were at a road course here in the Cup Series, Heller was your winner. Nicholson dominated the day at Circuit of the Americas, but Heller was the guy with the checkered flag. So Christopher Heller is a pretty decent road course racer. Maybe he can drive down Zachary Henry and get himself into that podium position and keep himself in a prime position in case if some of our leaders make some errors or maybe have some similar issues that were at COTA.
Yeah, that is true. However, one notable thing that we can't forget about that race is who was dominating the race up until a very crucial mistake was Nathan Nicholson. I mean, absolutely decimating the field that night and made a crucial error of downshifting while going down a straightaway by accident and blowing up the engine, which ended up giving the race lead over to Christopher Heller, which allowed him to win the race. So as long as Nathan Nicholson avoids a mistake like that today, he should have a good finish or a win.
Yeah, that's the real big key when it comes to road courses, minimizing those mistakes. And at this point, even a minor mistake might affect and kill Nicholson's chances of winning because Branski's keeping him on his toes. He's only around 2 seconds back of Nathan Nicholson, so he's keeping him on his toes. Right now, you're looking at the number 37 of Elliot Henderson. He's having a pretty decent day, I'd say, so far. He's trying to get to his teammate Austin Moore. He hasn't really been able to cut that much into that gap since the last time I mentioned it. The number 37 of Elliot Henderson, currently in the 6th position in that phonetic Toyota Camry.
He's running a very solid race here. He's not making any mistakes, just kind of keeping his pace very solid. And yeah, that's a pretty clean looking scheme. I like it. The simple black and white on that Fanatec scheme, it's very nice with the silver side number. I'm a big fan of that. I like when they do kind of metallic looking numbers. It looks very beautiful when it's on the track. I mean, Wood Brother, as he overshoots the final chicane, all right, well, mistake free no more. Now that was one mistake he just made. That's going to be a time penalty.
Just a little off-roading for that number 37. All good for Bobby Carter. He's going to continue on. Still in that 6th position. Probably had to slow down a little bit after that one. But not too much going on the racetrack right now. Branski's maintaining around that 2-second gap right now with the race leader. He was around 2.5 seconds back, but he was able to cut into that lead a little bit. But ever since he's cut it down to around 2 seconds, it's kind of stopped. Right now you're looking at Lawson as he's continuing to try to make his way back to the front. There you see Branski in the number 23 trying to get up there. But Lawson's doing a good job. Ashton Lawson's doing a great job ever since he had made his mistake on that. I think it was the first lap. He's done a very good job trying to get back as much time and positions as he can in that number 24.
Reminder, he spun as well, so he put a lot of wear on those tires, may have even flat spotted him a little bit, but he kept going, and now he's running pretty much exactly the same lap times as everybody else in front of him, if not a little bit faster. I mean, he's catching up to Elliot Henderson, so that might be a position he's going to be looking to grab within the next 2, maybe 3 laps, depending on his pace.
I think the big key with this race also is going to be just pit stops. Like, when do you want to come in and take tires and take fuel? What's your strategy here?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the question today. That's going to be the big one. Honestly, I think Jacob Branski could try and capitalize doing that because, like I mentioned before, without a caution, these guys are going to have to pit twice. I don't believe they'll be able to save enough fuel to go those extra 3 laps. I mean, that's a long ways. We're not at no oval. We're at a road course. That's a long lap to try and save 3 laps. And I don't think they could possibly manage to do that. So pitting a little bit early, maybe say lap maybe 20 or so, you may be able to try and even out each stint and run on a faster tire over each run, rather than leaving one very short run at the very end of the race.
Very interesting point, Alex. Yeah, we're definitely going to see some different sort of strategies. Since you mentioned it, we're most likely going to have to pit at least 2 times before the race is over, because I agree. I don't really see anybody necessarily making it on one stop unless they're saving a lot of fuel, and at that point you're just going to lose way too much time and track position. There's no point of you saving that much fuel. Oh, Barbagelata's around again. Oh man. Oh wow, William Barbagelata. At least he's giving a show to those fans right there. All those fans seem real excited.
Yeah, the damage I think got to him that time. When you get damage like that, especially on the front end, it sometimes makes the car a lot harder to turn. You lose some front grip, and going through that corner, you gotta be off the throttle and just coast it and rely on the car to turn around so you could get back to the throttle. And I think he just lost the front bite. Oh, Trent Curtis getting really loose. Oh my God, he's gonna spin around and hit the wall.
And those fans are having a great time over there. They're just watching all these drivers come in and spin it around and do donuts in front of them. Those fans right there are just having the time of their lives.
They truly are, Kyle. They're having a great show watching these guys haul their cars around this very technical racetrack. Cars that really should not be running as technical of a racetrack as this, but they do it anyway because it's fun. Isn't that right?
NASCAR. That's my answer to that one. I like the Roval personally. I enjoy this track a lot. I like watching it, at least. I'm not the best at racing this racetrack. I'd say it's probably one of my weaker road courses, at least in stock cars. It's a very technical, very difficult racetrack, and those transitions to the oval back to the road course can get very, very technical. We're gonna send it to a quick commercial from our sponsors here. We're gonna see you in the side-by-side and see if anything changes up here in front, as Nathan Nicholson still leads the field as he's run 2.5 seconds in front of second place.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and Teague. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you can only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and Teague. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
Hello and welcome back to the Charlotte Roval for the It's Not Charlotte, It's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval. You didn't really miss much of anything. Nathan Nicholson still out front, around 2.5 seconds in front of second place. Jacob Branski. Nathan Nicholson's around 17 seconds in front of third place. Zachary Henry. Then you got Christopher Heller. He's in the 4th spot right now, and you have Austin Moore rounding out your top 5. But Ashton Lawson, he's trying to get to him after Lawson had gotten past Elliot Henderson in the number 37 and moved himself into the 6th spot.
Yeah, he's running solid lap times now. Now, actually, his pace is comparable to the 2 leaders, but somebody else's pace is comparable to the 2 leaders is Austin Moore in that 5th position. He ran a lap time almost exactly the same as our leader, Nathan Nicholson. Now, we'll see as he crosses the line here what his lap time is. Ooh, almost the same lap time, though Nathan Nicholson picked up his pace, of course. But yeah, Austin Moore is running very solid lap times. He's going to be on the bumper of Christopher Heller pretty soon because he's running 2 to 3 or more tenths a lap quicker than him.
Yeah, this might get really interesting for that 3rd spot really soon. You see Austin Moore getting a little into the grass right there, but he'll be okay. You see Austin Moore, he's catching up to Heller, and Heller, he's catching up to Henry, so that might be 3 for 3rd. And you see Ashton Lawson, he's the first to make the move onto pit road, the number 24 of Ashton Lawson. I was just mentioning him, and there he goes. Oh, okay.
Ashton Lawson is out of this race.
Bye. Wow.
Man, Ashton Lawson had a good shot at getting some really good positions there if he was pulling a pit strategy on that lap, because that would have been a bit of an early pit, but you could have still made it work. As remember, the pit window is 26 laps, ladies and gentlemen. So a lap 17 pit would then allow the extra 52 laps of the other 2 stops to allow him to make it to the finish.
Lawson will end up finishing, I'm thinking, in the 9th position. Ashton Lawson, the number 24 machine, will come home 9th, and then there were 8. See Jacob Manning making his pit stop in the number 1 machine right there. Oh, Jacob Manning is gone now too. Okay, so then there were 7. Oh man, this is like the New Year's Eve countdown at this point. Look at Jacob Branski right here in the number 23 machine. As he's maintaining that gap with him and Nicholson. He's actually cut it down a couple of tenths since the last time I mentioned it. He's right now 1.9 seconds back. Here you see Ashton Lawson in the number 24 coming through the heartburn turn. Gets a little bit into the wall right there, and I think he just had enough in the number 24. Number 24 coming through the heartburn turn. You're going to see it right here on your screens. Number 24 of Ashton Lawson. It just gets up into the wall, coming out of the heartburn turn number 1 at the Charlotte Roval, and I think he just had enough for the number 24, and he went home. Now we're gonna have Jacob Manning now here spinning it around. He's just trying to save it and trying to keep his speed up, and at the same time in the number 1, and it's just hard, something really hard to do when you're losing it like that. It's just hard to even try to keep up your speed, and Manning really tried to keep up his speed in the number 1 machine, and it made him pay the price as he got hard into the wall.
Yeah, we're reaching that point in the run where tires are really starting to wear down. Times are really starting to get bigger and bigger. I mean, even our leaders right now are running low 23s, and probably next lap they're going to be running a mid 23. I mean, these tires really go away so hard, especially around this track, just because of how on edge you are trying to get around all the corners, because it's such a compromise of do you want the car to turn or do you want rear grip? Because you can't have both. And it seems like this setup gave yourself some turn, but you have to be really delicate on the throttle to get around those corners without sliding those rear tires. And a lot of these guys are suffering from sliding the rear tires, as Nathan Nicholson's coming down pit road and Jacob Branski are both coming down pit road in a coordinated effort. This is the strategy. They're going to pit together. Now it's going to be who gets the faster pit stop in the faster just overall pit cycle and who gains the time from it.
I think this was a really smart move from Nicholson, because I was watching Nicholson the past 2 laps, and he has fallen off completely the last 2 laps, and Branski was charging hard, and Nicholson came down pit road, and I think Branski, seeing Nicholson come down pit road, immediately jumped in behind him, did not want to lose any time due to fresh tires from the 47, so he's going to try to keep up with them coming off pit road, as Christopher Heller, Season 2 champion, has taken the lead.
I believe Christopher Heller is going to stay out and try and lead a lap, I believe. The only other person to stay out is Scott Stewart Jr. Everybody else had pit on this exact lap. So they're pretty much trying to split this whole stint up almost as perfectly as you can. But the problem is, because of Heller staying out, he's going to lose a lot of time as his tires really wear out, and he kind of extends this stint longer than it needs to be.
Heller's tires are very worn out. He's around 3 seconds off of his quickest lap time of the race, so tires are definitely making a huge difference here at the Charlotte Roval. You see Christopher Heller coming through the backstretch, bus stop, the chicane right here, the number 11 machine. He looks like he's going to make it around and try to lead this lap and then probably come down pit road next time by, I'm thinking. There you see Nathan Nicholson, who will take the lead back once Heller comes down pit road, or maybe even before, because Heller is going to pass the line right now, and Nicholson's not too far back. Nicholson taking a very wide entry. It looked like he almost even got 2 tires into the grass right there. Really wide entry from the 47.
There's something bizarre about that corner. I swear that grass has the same grip as asphalt. There's a little darker strip right next to the track, and it seems to have similar grip to the asphalt. So actually that is the line to the entry of that chicane, is to kind of put 2 tires in that grass a little bit.
Seeing it on your screen, you're seeing Nicholson just completely drive down the number 11 of Christopher Heller. You're really seeing how much of a difference tires makes. And Nicholson's just been so fast today. Before pit stops had started, he was, what, like almost 20 seconds in front of Christopher Heller. Now he's beginning to drive him down. I think he might even take the lead back before Heller even goes to pit road. I'm not sure, but I'm hearing that Heller is going to go down pit road this time by. So we're going to be watching for him to come down pit road, and Nicholson will take the lead back. And Branski's around 2 seconds back, right around the mark he was before pit stops had started. Let's see if Branski can continue to cut into that lead like he was right before pit stops had started, as you see Heller pull off down pit road.
Yeah, I believe Christopher Heller's strategy was just to stay out and lead a lap. And if he had a bigger gap on Nicholson the lap previous, I believe he could have gone down pit road and still led the lap, but Nicholson just got too close to him, so he had to stay out an extra lap, kind of hurting his strategy some, as now that stint's going to be even longer than I think he would have hoped for it to be.
But I still think it's a good strategy from Heller, because you just really need to think long term, just get as many points as you can, because the Cup Series does not have playoffs. There's no playoffs here in the Cup Series, so every point matters, and that's what Heller was out there doing, just getting a point to lead a lap so he can try to get himself another Cup Series championship, as he is one of the favorites to get it done once again this season.
Yeah, Christopher Heller is typically our pretty much all-rounder driver. He seems to be pretty good almost anywhere, but I think a driver who's looking to contend for that position tonight is Jacob Branski. He is typically a driver in contention for the win at most places we go to, and now where Christopher Heller struggles at this road course, Jacob Branski's capitalizing, running just as good as a road course ace, and I think he wants to try and claim that position as a title favorite, perhaps.
Yeah, Branski really made a late charge last season at the end of the year, but it was just at the end of the season, but it was just a little too late for the number 23 machine of Branski. It was almost the tale of two seasons. Branski, of course, wasn't at every race, but the first half of the season wasn't super strong, had some bad luck for the number 23 of Jacob Branski, but the second half of the season, especially those last couple of races, he looked super strong. And I think this could be a great battle for the championship between those two, and maybe even a couple of other drivers like Elliot Henderson and Austin Moore and a couple other drivers in the field.
I'm seeing a bit of an interesting strategy call coming out here with Scott Stewart Jr. He's still yet to pit. He's still out on the track. He's not pit yet. So he's running this stint very long. Maybe there's a chance that he's desperately trying to save fuel because he's not running very quick lap times. He's multiple seconds off the pace relative to each lap that he's running. And it only makes me think that his strategy is to just try and stay out and see if he could do a one-stop strategy. The problem is everybody else is just running such a fast pace on those newer tires. I'm not sure if doing one stop is even going to give him enough of a gap to win the race.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Even if you can save enough gas to make it to the end on one stop, you're gonna have to slow down your pace so much. First of all, and here he comes down pit road, but you would have to slow your pace down so much. First of all, and we've seen how much these tires have fallen off. I honestly didn't expect the tire fall off to be as much as it was here today, but the tire fall off is very huge at the Charlotte Roval here today. As our last driver is coming down pit road, Scott Stewart. Jacob Branski is still within striking distance of Nathan Nicholson, as these drivers are around 30 seconds in front of Austin Moore.
Well, the reason why we have such high tire wear is these cars, again, let's emphasize this. These are not road course cars. They don't typically run road courses. They weren't built or designed to do that. But we're taking them here anyway, and we're having them do it at a technical road course where it really puts a lot of punishment on the tires. So you've got this big, heavy stock car trying to lug its way around really tight, windy corners, and a lot of up and downhill where you have pretty much no downforce to help you get around these corners. It's no wonder these cars have such high tire wear. I mean, this track especially, even other road courses aren't as bad as here, but here it's just so technical, so much turning. You barely have any time to think on a straightaway that the tires are doing most of the thinking for you.
We have a little bit of a battle for third position. It looked like Austin Moore not too long ago had moved into the third position over Zachary Henry, and Zachary Henry had caught back up to Austin Moore, but Austin Moore was able to gap him out of the backstretch chicane. And now the number 39 of Zachary Henry is going to try to go back after Austin Moore again. It's a pretty decent battle we have right here. Henry trying to stay within a certain distance of the number 91 and maybe try to get back up to him. These two were pretty quick on that opening run before pit stops.
They seem to have pretty decent long run pace. Again, not as great as these two leaders. They're a class to the field right now, but between everybody else in the field, they had very solid pace. Austin Moore probably having some of the best pace, I'd say, at the end of that run. But somebody they're going to have to be watching out for is the 11 of Christopher Heller, as he is on those newer tires only 4 or 5 seconds back from him. But he'll be gaining multiple tenths a lap because just one lap on tires can be anywhere from 2 tenths to a half second sometimes on pace.
Yeah, Heller is around 3 seconds back of Zachary Henry. Heller in that 5th spot. He's been hanging around the top 5 ever since the drop of the green flag. Number 11 of Christopher Heller, your Season 2 champion for 2511 Racing. Trying to get as many points as he can out of today and try to get as many spots as he can. Really aiming down that 4th and 3rd spot of Austin Moore and Zachary Henry, as Austin Moore actually begins to gap Zachary Henry a little bit that last time by.
I was talking about watching out for Christopher Heller. He actually wasn't even the fastest one of these three. Austin Moore was faster than him by about 2/10 the last lap. Christopher Heller's not running as good pace as you would expect on the tires that he has. So Austin Moore is doing a fantastic job at maintaining the gap, actually running pretty decent times comparable to the leaders. Not very far off at all.
You know, that last time by, Austin Moore was only 1/10 off Jacob Branski and around 4/10 behind Nathan Nicholson. So very good times from Austin Moore, but unfortunately he's 30 seconds back, so he's going to be throwing everything that he has in that car out the window trying to get a debris caution.
What the rest of the field is really racing for tonight is that coveted interview spot in the third position. I think we've pretty much determined all this hard racing for the third spot is because of us. So guys, go ahead, get it. If you want to talk, you got to fight them for it.
Oh man, 5 drivers battling for that coveted interview podium position. Fancy stuff. Currently Austin Moore, currently in the bronze medal position here at the Roval, number 91 of Austin Moore. Not too far in front of Zachary Henry, and then Zachary Henry is around 3 seconds in front of Christopher Heller, the driver of the number 11, your reigning champion.
The battle that's pretty much going to be the closest right at the moment, I think, is going to be between that 91 and 39. They're the two closest cars on the track at the moment. The leaders are also pretty close to each other, but right now these two cars are about 1.8 seconds apart from each other. And while it sounds like a lot, and which it would be a lot at a place like an oval, here it's not that bad. I mean, you see it's maybe about 10 car lengths in between them, so the racing can get pretty close in just a couple laps.
You know, one little mistake, and number 39 of Zachary Henry is right there on Austin Moore's bumper. And the same thing for Zachary Henry when it comes to Christopher Heller. If Zachary Henry makes one little mistake, Christopher Heller's right on his bumper. So all three of these drivers are within a good distance of each other, where we could see a three-way battle for that third spot if something would to happen and these drivers maybe get backed up. Looking at Jacob Branski, he's maintained around a 2-second gap between himself and Nathan Nicholson. He's 2.1 seconds back of the number 47 right now. Branski's done a phenomenal job, I'd say, just by minimizing mistakes and keeping himself in a good position in case if Nicholson would be the one to make a mistake. So just for that, great job by Branski, because to be completely honest, coming into today's race, I didn't think anybody had anything for Nicholson, but Branski has definitely proved me wrong so far here today, doing a great job in that Mountain Dew Toyota.
Well, hey, while we have the chance, can we try and do an onboard a lap with Jacob Branski as he's following Nathan Nicholson? Because clearly he's fast, so let's try and see what a fast driver does around this racetrack. Very clean, very solid laps. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at the gap. I was wondering why he did look so close. It's less than a second now. Nathan Nicholson actually made a mistake that previous lap, and now Jacob Branski's less than a second away from him. So we're watching him run him down now. He's getting a lot closer, and it's coming fast.
Just to make note, I was watching the replay on why he got so close coming out of the backstretch chicane that last time by. Nicholson almost spun it around, went completely sideways and was able to save it.
Well, Nicholson just made another mistake. He overshot the first left-hander in the bus stop. That really severely hurt his exit. Now Branski just got that much closer coming into this final chicane. The race is on for the lead now. Nathan Nicholson is starting to feel the pressure, and he's making mistakes.
This is when you can really start to intimidate a driver. Elliot Henderson has mentioned many times how Jacob Branski, he's a dog. And now he's dogging this guy. He's mad dogging him right now. He's right there behind the number 47 of Nathan Nicholson. And I know Nicholson definitely feels the pressure now after that initial mistake. You could see it making the mistake in the same area as he made the mistake before. You saw it live when you were on the in-car with Jacob Branski. Nicholson's definitely feeling the pressure of the number 23 of Branski being right there behind him. Question is, can Nicholson keep calm and try to keep him back there? Because Nicholson so far has led 99% of the race. He just needs to keep on doing what he's doing and keep Branski behind him.
It's the battle of the soft drinks right here. Nathan Nicholson in the Coca-Cola car and Jacob Branski in the Mountain Dew machine. These two cars really close together. Nathan Nicholson definitely hurt his tires with the mistakes he made previous. Another great corner by Jacob Branski. He's just getting closer and closer. That image in the mirror for Nathan Nicholson is just getting bigger and bigger, and he's got to be feeling the pressure now.
It looked like the 47 took it a little easier that time on the backstretch, just making sure he didn't have a mistake that time around. He's doing a good job right now of just trying to recover from those two errors that he had made. He's doing a good job of it so far, but Branski is right there, really trying to pounce, trying to attack the number 47 of Nathan Nicholson. This is the closest he's been all race long to the race lead, the number 23 of Jacob Branski. I know he can smell the lead in that Toyota.
They've got to make sure, though, they don't push these cars a little too hard. They may want to try and push it a little bit harder, but that's where this track bites you. The race is getting close, but they've got to also try and stay calm at the same time. If they start pushing, if one of them slips, which is so easy to do around this racetrack, they're just giving the other a bunch of free time. But Jacob Branski's absolutely dogging him right now. He's not letting him go.
One thing just to keep in mind, if these two end up really getting into it, they're around 30 seconds up on Austin Moore, who's in the third spot. So these guys can afford to get a little rough with each other. They both can even afford to probably spin out, and they'd probably still be in front of Austin Moore. So this could be a bloody battle between these two.
Nathan Nicholson with a decent bust up there, pulled out an extra 10th through that corner, but we'll see if Branski can gain it back in the final corner where Nathan Nicholson made his mistake last time by. Looks like he's going to slip up a little bit. Yep, the same lap time. Once again, they're running almost the same exact lap times. I mean, Branski was only 200ths faster that time by. These two are having an absolutely worldy of a battle.
And this is some fantastic racing between two great road course racers here. The number 47 of Nathan Nicholson and the number 23 of Jacob Branski. This is a phenomenal battle for the ages right here. These drivers are still going to have to pit one more time. We have to keep that in mind. They're going to have to pit one more time before this race is over and done with. So might try to set themselves up for that final stop too.
If they do a similar pit stint to what they did last time, they should be pitting, I believe, around lap 38 and just 6 laps. But there also is the question of, do you try with such a close gap to pit just one lap earlier and see if you could jump them? Because remember, this is track, I pointed out earlier in the race, there really aren't a lot of places to pass. So while Jacob Branski could be right there on top of him, he might not find the opportunity to pass him if Nicholson is good enough at the really hard braking zones where you would try and pass somebody. So does he try and mess with the pit cycle, try and pit a little bit before him, and try and jump him on the new tires?
Whoever pits first, in my opinion, will win the race. Whoever pits first will win the race. If they pit at the same time, that's going to make this a hell of a race. But tires just make such a huge difference. And we saw the gap between Nicholson and Branski. They maintained that 2 to 2.5 second gap pretty much the whole race, just because they're running such similar lap times, lap in and lap out. It's all about minimizing those mistakes. That is what the key is to the races. I've said that since the beginning of the race. The key to the race is just minimizing your mistakes. And we're seeing it right here with the 47 and the 23, because Nicholson would be up by 2.5 seconds right now. But with a couple of errors, he has Branski now all over his bumper. And now we're really thinking strategy when it comes to tires.
Well, the only problem with trying to gamble with the strategy is they're going to have to not talk to each other. As I'm looking over at our radio sheets over here, Jacob Branski and Nathan Nicholson are in the same radio channel, so they can hear whatever the other person's saying about themselves, their car, what they're doing. So they're going to have to try and stay silent, because while they may be teammates, I think Branski's going to want to try and get this win away from him, but he may treat him a little nicer than he would somebody else because he is his teammate.
And Branski in the number 23 is definitely going to try to one-up Nathan Nicholson and vice versa. Nathan Nicholson is definitely going to try to one-up Branski. See who's going to be able to get the job done in these Toyotas. Who's going to win today here at the Roval. We are going to be approaching those last set of pit stops, I'm thinking, here pretty soon. I'm thinking probably within the next 5 to 10 laps. We're going to have that last stop of the day. And we're going to see what happens, see who might be the first one to come down pit road and what the strategy may be.
Well, something interesting I just noticed. I thought I heard some contact as we were following them go through turns 1 and 2, and I went to go look, and Nathan Nicholson just very minorly tapped the wall going through the left-hander of turn 2, so he has a minor bit of left front damage on his car now. Now, while that shouldn't really affect him because we're at a road course and aerodynamics aren't as big of an issue, that is something to note.
I think if anything, that's just affecting him more on the mental side of things, you know? You're thinking about that. You're thinking about that contact you made with the wall. You think about your mistakes more than you doing well. You think about all the times you've messed up versus all the times that you've done great. You know, I feel like that could be possibly what could be in Nicholson's mind, but he needs to keep that out of his mind, and it looks like he's doing a good job of that. Like I've said many times, he's made a couple of errors, but he's done a good job of recovering from those errors and keeping himself in front of Jacob Branski, which is the big key right here, because if Branski gets in front of him, it's going to be really hard to take it back.
Well, it couldn't have been affecting him too much, as when they crossed the line, Nathan Nicholson gained almost 2/10 over Branski that lap. So I don't think him tapping the wall really affected him that much, either mentally or with the car. He's running very solid lap times. His mistakes that he made are gone now, and the only thing he's got to make sure is he doesn't make any more of them. But Branski, fantastic bus stop entry, really pulls up on the rear bumper of Nathan Nicholson. That was a really good corner entry that he had, but he's going to lose a lot of it on the exit.
That might be a little tester right there to see what he can really do going into that backstretch bus stop right there, because that's where we've seen Branski have, like, that last section of the racetrack right there that we just went through in the backstretch. That's where Branski has been a little bit stronger than Nicholson. But then on this infield portion of the racetrack, Nicholson has usually been a little bit stronger than Branski. So if Branski's going to make that pass on Nicholson, I think it's going to have to come in that second half of the racetrack.
Well, a little thing I think I'm watching here is that between these two drivers, Branski's been a lot harder into the braking zones, and he's been a lot better at the braking zones. But Nathan Nicholson's been a lot better on the exit. He's doing the slow in, fast out strategy, while Branski's doing the fast in while slower out kind of strategy. So what this does with the two cars is Nathan Nicholson is probably going to have better rear tire, as he's using less of it coming off the exit because he's focusing so much on the exit with the slow entry, but he might be using a little bit more front because he's having to use more tire rather than brake to turn the car, while Branski's doing the total opposite. He's using a lot of brake, really getting those front tires dug into the ground and turning into the corner, but he's losing a lot on exit, and so he's going to have to try and compensate by putting more power down, but that hurts the rear tires. So we've got a really interesting dynamics between the two drivers at the moment.
Two completely different ways of driving, two completely different drivers right here between the 47 and the number 23 of Branski, but both are getting similar results out here in front of the field. 35 seconds in front of third place, Austin Moore. So these drivers are doing a great job and are putting on a show here today at the Charlotte Roval for the It's Not Charlotte, It's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval. And it's been a blast so far. The number 47 leading the field. Number 23 of Branski right behind him in the third place. You have Austin Moore. Fourth, you have Zachary Henry. Heller's fallen pretty far back since the last time we mentioned him. He's fallen a couple more seconds behind Zachary Henry in the 5th spot. You have Elliot Henderson in 6th, and then in 7th, you have Scott Stewart out of the drivers remaining on the racetrack.
Yeah, I'm just quickly going through to look and see what had happened. Christopher Heller, he had a lap time of 1:32.2 on lap 31, so he made a mistake somewhere and lost a lot of time. Now he's very far off of the 2 drivers in front of him. I believe he made the mistake. I'm not really seeing where he made the mistake.
Christopher Heller in number 11. You know, we just saw it on your screen right there. Christopher Heller looks like he got loose coming. We're going to see it right here. Christopher Heller looks like he got loose just coming onto the oval portion of the track and just spun it. That's usually my biggest problem with the Roval and with the Daytona road course, is just that transition from the infield portion of the track to the oval. It can get really difficult. It gets really loose. It's hard to really get the gas down in that area.
Yeah, you really got to use all the real estate at the oval to get it back going with as much power as you can. It's gonna feel weird driving right up next to the wall and taking a long time to drive back down to the line, but that's just simply what you have to do to get the power down around this track. And right there, Christopher Heller maybe put a little bit too much wheel in it. Maybe he put power down a little bit too early or something, and he kind of looped it just going through that left-hander onto the oval.
Heller was able to recover it. Last time I had checked, he was around 10 seconds back, but I've seen that he's caught up around 2 or 3 seconds. So that's a good job from Heller, just being able to recover from that. And he's able to keep himself in the 5th spot. He's around 7 seconds back of Henry right now, around 14 seconds back of Austin Moore. If Henry or Moore make a big mistake, like going off track or something like that, Heller can get back up there and maybe get a couple more points from those drivers. But our big focus is on that battle for the lead. That last time by, Branski lost a little bit of time to, well, actually not the last time by, but the time before last, Branski lost around a half second to the race leader, Nathan Nicholson. And now he's trying to maintain that gap around a second right now.
I believe the earliest the pit windows open is about now, I believe. They've run 20 laps now on the set of tires, 1 lap longer than their previous stop. So either they're both going to pit this time by, or Jacob Branski could pit early and try and jump him, because clearly he's losing a lot of time on these older tires.
And I've said it, I just really think that's the best strategy here. I think your best bet is to pit first. Whoever pits first, I think, is going to come out on top, because and you see Henderson coming down pit road, the number 37, but you saw it with Heller. You saw it with the number 11 of Heller. He wasn't able, even with the fresher tires, he wasn't quite able to drive down Henry and Moore, even with the 2 laps fresher tires. I don't think the tires are going to make that much of a difference at that point, but the first driver to come down pit road, he's going to have that advantage for that 1 or 2 or 3 laps, depending on how long the other one wants to wait out on the racetrack.
Well, they once again forego the pit lane. Once again, Zachary Henry, Christopher Heller, and Elliot Henderson all pit that previous lap. So they're already 2 laps on tires up on these 2 leaders. But I think their gap is just so big, they don't really have to worry about those guys, because they'd have to catch up 3 seconds a lap for 10 laps, and I don't even think the pit window is long enough for that. So pretty much their gap allows them to do whatever they want to do. They're just racing each other by this point.
Yeah, the way that Branski and Nicholson have raced these 40 laps, it's basically just a race between themselves, unless they wreck each other. And even if they, like I said, even if they do wreck each other, they still might have enough time to get both their cars straight and continue racing each other while still being in front of 3rd place Austin Moore, because these two have just been phenomenal today. It's just amazing what what they've been doing. It's just like it's like watching Ron Fellows and Boris Said versus a bunch of go-karters. As you see Nicholson come down pit road, and Branski's gonna forego pit road. Very interesting decision here from Branski.
Yeah, that is a very interesting decision. I'm surprised they didn't pit 1 or 2 laps ago, because they could have made it to the end from that pit stop, I believe. So, I mean, Nicholson's going to take advantage. He's going to pit early and gain upwards of 2 to 3 seconds on Branski once he eventually pits, which I believe should be the next time by. And the only advantage Branski's going to have is 1 lap newer tires, which can make a difference. These two drivers are good enough that the difference should be 1 to 2 tenths a lap, but that gap may just be too big by the time he gets to the pit lane.
I'd like to make a little note that Heller's issues continue while we're looking at Nicholson on pit road. Heller had spun out right in front of our race leader of Jacob Branski and fallen behind him. So the issues continue for Heller, but he still maintains that 5th position. So, like I said, he's just trying to get as many points as he possibly can. He stayed out so he can lead that lap. So good job from Heller, just here getting as many points as he can, as he's one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the title this year in the number 11 in the season once again. Branski once again forgoes pit road, and I honestly thought he was going to do this. I think this is like the only move he could really do at this point. The fact that Nicholson came down before him and Branski didn't come with him, I think what Branski is doing and what he needs to do at this point is stay out as long as possible. He's going to lose a lot of time to Nicholson, but he's going to have the fresher tires at the end of the run this time. And at that point, it's just going to be really all about timing and who runs it better, who's better at time trials, basically.
Well, he's going to run out of time on his stint, though, because we're less than 15 laps to go by this point. We're at 14 laps to go. They've already gone 20 laps. Or Branski's already actually gone 23 laps. So he's really pulling out this fuel window to the end. And I don't know if he'll, even with the newer tires, just have enough laps to even get by him. That's why I'm questioning them staying out as long as they did on pit stops. Because if they would have pit earlier, their pit stops would have been more equal stint-wise.
Just came to my head, is it possible that he could maybe, I think he's coming to pit road this time actually, but is it possible that he might take 2 tires just to save some time?
Well, the problem is we're at a road course. You can't really do that because you're doing both types of turns. You're doing right and left-handers. Taking 2 tires does nothing for you. If anything, it makes it worse because all of a sudden you're going to have all this grip going one way and have no grip going the other way. It's going to be the most crazy thing to drive ever.
I'm watching Branski on pit road, and we're going to see what he does. Jacob Branski is going to end up losing the lead to Nathan Nicholson because of the difference in tires for those few laps, but at this point, Branski is really hoping that those tires, these 4 new fresh tires that he's going to have, he's going to be able to make up as much time as he possibly can on Nicholson.
Well, right now the gap looks to be 6 seconds in between the 2 drivers. That is a massive amount of time that he lost through that pit cycle. I don't know how he's going to be able to make that up in just 13 laps. That's not a lot of time to do that.
Only 2 laps difference in tires. I mentioned it with the difference between Heller and Austin Moore and Zachary Henry's tires earlier. Heller had 2 laps quicker tires, but he wasn't really catching up to Austin Moore or Zachary Henry that much at all. Every once in a while he would cut down a couple of tenths, but other than that, didn't really make up much time with that strategy. And Branski now is pulling a very similar, if not the exact same strategy here with Nathan Nicholson, and currently he's 6 seconds back. I just think that's too big of a gap, even if he is a little bit quicker. I just think that's too big of a gap, and it gives Nicholson so much breathing room at this point where he can just relax and not have to worry as much.
We'll see what the gap is when they cross the line. 6.276 seconds. That is a humongous gap. Nathan Nicholson's already going into turn 3, and Branski's only just hit turn 2, so he's a whole turn behind Nicholson. Can't even see him out the front windshield. He's gonna have to be running the laps of his life to catch up to Nicholson, but I guess you figure if he was losing time anyway at the end of those stints and really only caught up to him because Nicholson made a mistake, why not pull a kooky strategy? It's not like anybody else is going to jump you. You have such a big gap, you could do whatever you want, and I guess this is the strategy for Branski, is just see if the lap time gain from slightly newer tires is enough to make up the gap and pass him.
Don't get me wrong, I really think that Branski can cut into this lead a little bit before the race is done, but like 6 seconds is an awful lot to ask, even with 2 laps fresher tires. It's an awful lot to ask, but we're going to be watching Branski, and hopefully he can prove me wrong and make a race of this here at the end of the race. Nicholson's currently up by it looks like around 6 seconds right now. We're going to check the gap at the line and see if Branski was able to make up any time that last time by. He actually lost 2/10 that last time by, so that's what I was saying. These tires don't really make that much of a difference at the beginning portion of the run. It's not a noticeable difference, and when it does become a noticeable difference, it's going to be way too late for Branski. So at this point, I think Branski just needs to hope on a mistake from Nicholson, a very severe mistake at that, because Nicholson's 6 seconds up. That's a pretty decent gap. It's more than just getting a little bit loose. That's either hitting the wall, going a little off track, something.
We're hearing that we've got a replay of something that happened to Elliot Henderson. We're going to be looking to catch that for you and see what had occurred. Getting the news off track in the infield corners. Really just, yeah, he gets really wide and gets loose. Seeing him come down up to the uphill. He gets a little loose back on the double right-hander, goes off track, loses a lot of time to Christopher Heller, and I believe Scott Stewart eventually gets by him because I believe that may possibly have been a time penalty as well. So now Elliot Henderson's down to the 7th position, Scott Stewart up to 6th.
I'd like to make a little note that I think Jacob Branski is listening to the broadcast, because that last time he was a whole second faster than Nathan Nicholson and ran his fastest lap of the race. So if you're listening, Jacob, use that as motivation. Get up there and challenge Nicholson for this win, because now he's around 5 seconds back after that tremendous lap that last time by, and he just needs to keep it up. He just needs to keep on doing what he's doing, and he can charge him down if he can keep it up.
Well, while we wait for this battle to close, why don't we throw it to a side-by-side and watch these guys run each other down while we show off some of our beautiful sponsors that help us run this broadcast.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and T. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and T. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
Hello and welcome back to the Charlotte Roval. We have 7 laps to go. The battle is between two. You have Nathan Nicholson in the race lead in the Coca-Cola Toyota. And he's around a little over 3.5 seconds in front of second place Jacob Branski right now. It's a 2-car race if you're just tuning in. These two drivers are over 40 seconds in front of third place Austin Moore. So it's a 2-car race for this win. Branski went to pit road 2 laps after Nicholson, so his tires are a little bit fresher as he tries to drive down Nicholson in the remaining laps here at the Charlotte Roval, where Nicholson has dominated most of the race. Alex, what are you looking forward to in these last couple of laps? What do you think could happen?
I'm looking forward to Branski to pick up the pace because he's just not gaining as much time as he needs to catch up to Nathan Nicholson. Nathan Nicholson is running a fantastic race, running very clean, nice laps that really isn't costing his tires seemingly as much as Branski is, who's probably running really hard, expecting that these newer tires are going to run him down. Either that, or we're looking for a mistake from Nicholson. I mean, it's not out of the question. He made a mistake earlier in the race and lost a full second just from a single mistake earlier in the race. That's right there. That mistake right there. He hits the wall. That would be a mistake that could cost him time. Damage race car a little bit. I have to hope he didn't hit the wall too hard. He might be all right. We're at the road course, but hope he didn't hit it that hard.
I'm looking at the car. He definitely has some pretty heavy right front damage and some damage to the hood. He got into the wall pretty hard. You're going to see it on the replay here. Bam! Gets a little into the wall. The number 47 machine, Nathan Nicholson, just got into the wall a little too hard. That's definitely going to hurt him. But question is, does he have a big enough gap between himself and Branski as he comes to 5 laps to go? The drama meter just got turned up.
So the gap is crossing the line, 3.3 seconds. He lost 7/10 on that lap from that mistake, but this damage could cost him even more. He pretty much had this race in the bag, and while the gap is still very big, we'll have to be watching the lap time gain because he may just make this way closer than he wants it to be.
I'm going to say this. If Nicholson ends up coming on top, he's going to be real lucky that Branski, it looked like Branski might have used up his tires in those first couple of laps because in a 3-lap span, he caught up to our race leader by 2.5 seconds over 3 laps. And then ever since then, he's kind of slowed down the pace a little bit and is kind of even with Nicholson and hasn't really caught up at all ever until that contact with the wall for Nicholson. He is now beginning to caught up once again on Nicholson because of that contact with the wall. This could be a very close finish. We're used to, we've seen many photo finishes at Charlotte, but The Charlotte Roval?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we've seen plenty of good finishes. I mean, let's not forget Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex pretty much would have been side by side crossing the line if not for the mistake from Jimmy Johnson that gave Blaney the win. So it's not out of the question to see a close finish, as when they cross the line, I believe the gap's going to be 2.5 seconds this time by. Yep, 2.5 seconds. Branski just gained another 0.8 on Nathan Nicholson. This is going to be close.
Yeah, Branski is really chomping into that lead here late. He's a little under 2.5 seconds behind our race leader with 4 laps to go. This is getting really good, really fast. Right in front of them is Elliot Henderson in the number 37 machine. Does he let these drivers by and let them race it out, or does he put up a little bit of a fight? These are his teammates, so I'm expecting him to maybe just move over for both of these drivers and let them battle it out.
That's what you'd hope, but I guess if Elliot Henderson wants to play favorites, he could try and help Branski get the win, but it's just a matter of who treated him the best, I guess. I think they're probably telling each other in the chat that Nicholson will buy Elliot some dinner if he lets him by, because he can't lose any time to him because he's already losing a lot of time on his own.
There'll be 3 laps to go this time by, and Branski continues to chomp at that lead, and we're going to check the times at the line, as Branski's around 2 seconds back now at this point. He continues to chomp at that lead. Nicholson with the 122.5 and Branski with the 122.2, so he caught up another 0.3 that last time by, as now you see Nicholson approaching the back bumper of Elliot Henderson. Does Henderson let his teammate by, and he's going to move right on over for the 47 of Nathan Nicholson, and now he's going to fall in behind him.
All right, well, the lap time gain wasn't as big as the previous 2 laps at the pace. If we get that same kind of pace this next lap, it's gonna require a mistake to really lose the race, because at before, he would have lost the race. He would have been right in front of Branski, like by a bumper coming towards the line. But now if he keeps running this pace, he'll at least have a little bit of a gap to work with. But I think Branski's going to catch Elliot Henderson as a little bit better of a spot through the oval. He's not going to lose any time from that. That could be a bit of a gain as well.
I'm really watching this back stretch section, because that's really been where Branski's made up a lot of time and where we've seen Nicholson make most of his mistakes. He's made very few mistakes today, but almost all of them came coming out of the back stretch right there. Branski's around 1.5 seconds back almost at this point. He's continuing to chomp into that lead a little bit. We'll check the times once again this time. A 122.8 from Nicholson and a 122.4 from Branski. Branski almost catching up 0.5 second that last time by. 1.5 seconds almost back. This is going to get really interesting as we have 2 laps to go. Once Branski sniffs that lead, I expect him to drive even harder. And just the question is, will him driving harder help him or hurt him?
Well, he's going to have to catch up at least 8 to 9 tenths a lap with the gap that he's got right now. He's gaining a lot of time, but he's running out of laps to do it. It's 2 to go, mind you. He might run out of time, and it might just barely give Nicholson the win.
I'm really watching Nicholson at this point, because Nicholson has to be cool, calm, and collected. He has to be as cool as he can be, as cool as a cucumber the number 47 has to be to win this race. One mistake from Nicholson, and the number 23 is going to be all over him like white on rice. Nicholson leads the field. Coming to the white flag this time by. Can Nicholson hang on to the lead and win at the Charlotte Roval?
Nicholson's fantastic corner exits have been helping him out this race, as going through that bus stop, he was 1.4 seconds, but gained 2 tenths just on the exit alone. He's running very solid lap times. The gap isn't going to be that much closer, only 1/10. He only gained a 10th on him that time by. Branski is not gaining the time he needs. 1.6 seconds, it's final lap.
Coming through the first couple of turns here on the final lap. Lap number 55 of 55. It's not Charlotte, it's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval. Nicholson has started on the pole, and he's dominated most of this race. Can he bring it home to the checkered flag?
He's going to have to watch out through this corner. He made the mistake last time by hitting the wall. I think he's going to take it a little more careful this time by. He has the gap to work with. He's not going to hit the wall this time by. Mind you, that damage could make it easier for him to make a mistake, but with how few right-hander corners are left in this race, I think he should be all right. The live gap looks to be 1.1 seconds. That was 4/10 through the infield. We'll see what the time is coming out of the bus stop. The exit here is where Nicholson's been pretty good. He's been able to get the power down really well and pull away. 1.4, 1.3 exiting the bus stop. It's close, but it's just not going to be close enough unless we see Branski pull like a Formula One dive bomb going into the chicane. Even still, I don't think he's got it. I think Nathan Nicholson is gonna win the race.
And Nathan Nicholson gets the checkered flag, and Branski gets the wall coming out of the last section, but he will get home. He'll come home second. Not enough time for Branski to get there. And Nicholson gets the job done here at the Charlotte Roval, and he wins the second race of the season as he stops over there in the heartburn turn and turns around immediately. I don't know if he can do that. There's still drivers racing, but he's going to do it anyway. Nicholson, the number 47, he's your winner.
Yeah, guys, we get it. You won by a lot, but there's still guys in the lead lap coming. Austin Moore in the third position. He's going through the final oval corners right now. He's going to be coming into the chicane. Nicholson, you might need to get out of the way because some guy's driving to an interview right here.
Austin Moore looks like he's going to come home in the third spot. And he will. Austin Moore comes home third. Next up on the track will be Zachary Henry, who's in the fourth position. Here he comes down the front stretch. Henry maintained a good position all day, ran in third most of the day, but will come home fourth. Great job from Zachary Henry maximizing his points. Then Christopher Heller. Oh man, Mr. Christopher Heller. He's going to come home in the fifth spot. Our season 2 champion is going to come home fifth with Scott Stewart right behind him in the sixth spot. That's your finish for the race as Elliot Henderson comes home seventh. And there you see Nathan Nicholson and the number 47 Coca-Cola Toyota driving that patriotic scheme right here, right before 9/11. That got to feel good for him. Great job for Nicholson. Dominates the Roval. Well-deserved burnout and donuts right there in the grass. A lot of smoke for the grass. That grass does have a lot of grip, doesn't it, Alex?
I told you, I swear, this grass has asphalt grip. It doesn't make sense.
Turf?
Oh, right, it is turf, isn't it?
Turf? Oh, man.
All right, Kyle, looks like it's time. It's time for the interviews. What we've been waiting for this whole race. Driver is ready to talk. The driver who got the talk and made the spot to talk, Austin Moore in the third position. Now, I don't know if you're satisfied with this result. You know, the leader is really far away, but you were definitely best of the rest by far. You drove your way up to the third position from a ninth starting position and just ran solid laps, didn't really make any mistakes, and pretty much beat everybody else who did. So how would you think the night?
Oh man, it was all right. I'll take third over Nathan and Jacob because those guys are on a different level for sure. I mean, their practice speeds were seconds ahead of the rest of us for sure. So no doubt about those two were going to be the class of the field. But this third place, I'll take this as a win for sure because I can't remember the last time I finished top 3 in a road course at any league or at any official at any time. So I'll take this. It was just about staying clean the whole race and keeping the tires on the car. You don't want to scruff them up and just slide out on each corner. And yeah, so it was just about maintaining the car all race. It was a long one, but just glad to come home third.
Yeah, I mean, once again, you made a mistake-free race pretty much. I don't think I saw you make a mistake on track. You just had a very clean and solid race, and you were talking about the tires now. I do want to talk about it with our two leaders who definitely had some strong pace, but what about from your perspective? What were the tires like from your perspective? What was it like on those longer runs?
It was getting a little tight on the long run for sure. The tire wear wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was just about maintaining and not trying to slide through each corner. It was just about just feathering the throttle, going around the infield for sure. Because if you scruff them up in each corner. You just heat them up way too fast, and then you'll be hard to break in the next corner. So it's just about maintaining and make sure you don't over break the corners. And luckily, I was racing by myself most of the race. I felt like I got a pretty good gap on most of the guys, so I didn't have a lot of competition around me. So luckily, I was able to stay clean and be able to run my quick lap. I was averaging 122, 123s, and unlike Nathan and Jacob, but yeah, like solid night all around.
Yeah, it wasn't without a lot of effort though. Like I said, you started in the ninth position. You had to pass some people. So,
Right.
what was it like to pass around a racetrack that's so technical and there's so few passing zones?
Yeah, just getting a run on going onto the from the road course in the infield onto the track is probably a main passing zone. You just got to get a good run off that corner, but it's about overcoming everyone else's mistakes. It's just being able to keep the car on the track, because if you slide and one mistake will put you back a couple spots. So luckily everyone else kind of had their own thing going on, and I saw Zach Henry get loose in front of me. We almost got into it going onto the track too, so that was probably the nearest close call all race. But yeah, luckily top three for split second. Looks pretty good.
All right, well, we were talking about you a couple times during the race that you were the driver battling for that last interview spot, and you know what that interview spot gets you? It gets you to thank some sponsors and thank some friends and family, what have you. So who do you have to thank?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I got to thank Split Second Esports, of course, the team. They helped me out. I mean, especially Nathan and Jacob. They helped me out, gave me a lot of tips to get around here, and I was able to pick off seconds off my personal best from the start of the week. So got to thank them especially. Elliot Henderson Racing, EHG, Chicago Indoor Racing, Nixus, family, friends, everybody, broadcast, of course. You guys are great. That's about it, man. Thanks.
All right, well, thank you, Austin Moore, and good job.
All right, have a good night, guys. Thanks.
All right, we got our second place finisher. I know he would have wanted that first. He was that close, challenging that road course ace for the race win, Jacob Branski. You had a fantastic night tonight. It was a two-horse race. You were sadly the second horse tonight, but you were that close to being the first horse at the end of the race. So tell us about how your night went from your perspective.
Yeah, it's just another race trying to get a win, but it was really fun racing with Nicholson up there the whole time. Just to have a shot. That's my whole goal of the race, was kind of just to make it close, because I obviously know he's kind of crowned as the road course king. So it was just good racing, and I know a lot of people think that road course racing is boring, but that was definitely fun.
Well, I personally like myself some road course racing, and seeing you two go at it in a race where really you two were the only ones really in contention for the win. It was a great watch. You made it exciting. Now, I got to talk to you a little bit about the differences between you two, because something we noticed tonight is that while you definitely were not making really many or any mistakes, your longer run pace is a little bit off of Nathan. Now, what do you think you could have done tire wise to try and catch up to him on those longer runs?
Yeah, I think he was definitely a little bit better on the long run, which helped him stay in front of me at the end. But I think I was just kind of burning my stuff up earlier on the run, honestly. But I was just kind of like, I just try and be consistent and keep the pace all the time. But maybe if I saved a little bit in the beginning, would have been would have been a little bit better.
I think we lost Alex there, so I'm gonna have to
Oh
jump in
gosh.
real quick. We never like that. We never like that. But it's maybe going through your mind in those last few laps when you were driving, you were flat out just driving down, chomping at the lead every single lap. What was going through your mind there?
Yeah, just staying focused, trying to not make any mistakes, and yeah, basically, me and Nicholson just kind of went silent on the team chat, just both focusing really hard. So that was kind of just the main goal, is to just stay focused and not make mistakes. And we ended up doing that pretty much, but he's just a little bit faster at the end of the day. So
You were mentioning how he is your teammate. If you had gotten up there and were able to challenge him for the win, how aggressive were you possibly willing to get with them?
I mean, yeah, before the race, we were kind of talking about it. Nicholson said that he would dump me for the win, but I don't know if he was joking or not. But I would definitely be aggressive. I would never really purposely wreck him though, for sure. I would definitely be aggressive though. That's that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you did a great job, Jacob. I personally I didn't expect you to put it on like you did today. You did a fantastic job, and you're overall just going for the championship, aren't you, out here?
Yeah.
It's all the points game with you. Anybody you have to thank for your performance out there today?
Thanks to the Mountain Dew sponsor, the Toyota Camry. Thanks for Nicholson, honestly, for practicing with me and just for that great race we had. And then thanks to Elliot for the opportunity on the team. And then thanks to you guys and the league owners for everything that you guys do.
Well, we appreciate it, Jacob, and we hope to talk to you once again next week. Once again, great job out there, Jacob. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Now I think we're gonna pull in our race winner. He dominated the race, started from pole and led 99% of the race. Nathan Nicholson, you got me up here in the booth.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, I turned you down. Just like killed my eardrums.
Great job, Nathan. Once again, just pulling out all the stops on the road course. I have to congratulate on your win, first of all. But what was maybe going through your mind on those last few laps when you see Branski's bright green Mountain Dew machine getting bigger and bigger in your mirror?
I wasn't really getting that big. I mean, we were like a couple tenths off each other. We did the same pit strategy, the first pit, and then we were going to do the same again, but I was going to try to, twist his mind a bit, make him go, and then I was going to go. But, I mean, we were neck and neck. I was just glad I had somebody to, actually run up there in front with me instead of me being like 30, 40 seconds ahead. So I was actually sweating. I have sweat stains on my shirt from that. So,
Yeah, that was definitely some great racing between you both. What was maybe going through your mind after you? Because I noticed in those last few laps, you'd gotten into the wall pretty hard before exiting the infield section, got some damage to the right front. How were you able to recover from that?
didn't really affect the car. It just crinkled like a tin can and I just kept going.
That was a great job just to keep your concentration and keep calm after that incident. I was a little worried there for you for a minute there, but great job. A lot of drivers in that position would have folded, but you did an amazing job able to hold on to the lead over your teammate. If your teammate, I talked with your teammate Branski about it just a moment ago, but if he had gotten up there, he even mentioned it, you were willing to possibly even dump him for this win. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I already told him I was gonna turn him on the last lap because I knew I was gonna be right on his bumper. But if he would have caught up to me, I would have just held a defensive line on the inside and kept making him run wide and get better launches out. Like on that backstretch chicane, I got a better launch out of the chicane than he did every time.
Yeah, you guys did. Me and Alex were talking about that, how you guys had two completely different driving styles when it comes to this racetrack. Jacob was more focused on his entry, and you were so just phenomenal on the exit of those corners. You would just gap them almost every single time. Um, Anybody you have to thank for your performance out there tonight, Nathan?
I mean, not really. Not that I know of off the top of my head. I mean, I'm gonna thank Branski having somebody to actually race. I'm the one who actually taught him how to get around Charlotte Roval. We've been practicing a lot for about 4 weeks for it. Right after we didn't really practice Homestead because I wasn't on split second. I was on Heller's team, and we just hopped in one day and we started practicing and started showing him which gear and everything to be in, and we learned how to take every corner time by time. I even made a hot lap tutorial video and sent it to all my teammates, and they watched it and picked up some times like Austin. Austin told me he had a lead foot. He watched that video. He got 2 seconds faster than what he normally was just by watching that video, my throttle inputs and what speeds I am in the corner.
Well, obviously, all of that helped because you three ended up 1, 2, 3. So great job on that, and we hope to talk to you again next week at Iowa Pocono, Nathan.
That track's garbage. I'm going to be horrible there. I'm just going to let you know that. I cannot stand Pocono.
I'm writing that down in the broadcast notes right now. But I appreciate you speaking to us, Nathan. And once again, congratulations on your win, man. Go celebrate.
Yep, no more money shifting, right?
Thanks for talking to us, Nathan. And I think that will about do it. Once again, a great performance from Nathan Nicholson. We're gonna give you the official results run down. I'm going to read through to see where everybody had finished in the field, a small field for the race, so won't take too long. Of course, your winner tonight, Nathan Nicholson. Then back in second place, you have Branski. Third, you have Austin Moore, Zachary Henry in the 4th spot, Heller in 5th. Scott Stewart finishes on the lead lap in the 6th spot. Elliot Henderson finishes 1 lap down in 7th. Ashton Lawson had a lot of speed, but a couple of early mistakes has him with an early exit in the 8th spot. Manning in 9th. Trent Curtis in 10th, and then we'll go on to the last slide for the remainder of our results. In the 11th spot, we have William Barbagelata, aka Mr. Excitement, who had some issues today, had a lot of incidents, unfortunately. Bedford looked really strong early and had some incidents early on in the race and exited, finishing 12th. You got Ty Aiken in 13th, Nick Martin in 14th, Eric Kepf and Josh Cottle and Brandon Dennis round out your field here today at the Charlotte Roval. Once again, I would like to congratulate Nathan Nicholson on winning the It's Not Charlotte, It's Charlotte at the Charlotte Roval here on the Flatout Racing Network. I'd like to once again congratulate him on his victory, and we will see you next week at Pocono for the Great Lakes Cup Series. But if you also want to tune into the Great Lakes Truck Series on Tuesday, we will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we're going to see who kisses the bricks. Only a couple of races before the playoffs. And I'd like to thank all y'all for tuning in, and have a great night, y'all, and see y'all soon.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.